Hi, my name's Abby.
Hi, I'm Dr. Helen Lambert. I'm an animal welfare scientist. I have a PhD in measuring emotions in cattle, and I've spent many years working around the world to improve the lives of animals. Myself and other scientists have spent years working out how cattle actually communicate their emotions, whether it's through their ear postures or other behaviours as well. So not only are cows highly emotional and intelligent beings, but once we start to look a bit more beneath the surface, we can actually see how complex they are as well. So in my PhD, we stroked the cows to elicit emotions from them. And once they got used to us, they really enjoyed the experience and they would seek us out to try to be stroked by us. And I'd regularly have cows falling asleep with their heads in my lap. Calves also want to feel good too. They enjoy being stroked by, again, someone who's familiar to them, and or groomed by one another as well. And we actually find that this can have a really positive long-term effect on their well-being too. In most of the dairy industry, calves are removed from their mothers relatively soon after birth, usually within 24 hours after their first feed. And then obviously this is distressing to the calf and to the mother, and they may call for one another for some hours after that separation. And then the idea is that most of the cow's milk is then bottled up for human consumption.
The fate of dairy calves is very variable. So they could be shot straight after birth, they could be exported overseas, they could be reared for beef or veal, or sent to slaughter. So, I mean, to be frank, actually, the dairy and meat industries, they're very heavily interlinked.
So today we're specifically looking at footage of calves reared on a farm.
So this is the footage from Animal Aid, a dairy farm in Somerset.
Yeah, that's right. So here's an overview of the calf hutches on the farm.
There's absolutely loads.
Once calves have had their first drink, they'll then be placed in these calf hutches and calf pens in separate ones. This is appalling footage of a worker sort of slapping and hitting and shouting at this newly born calf. They're moving him or her into the pen, but quite aggressively.
Stop it!
These conditions can be very challenging for these calves. They're not able to share the warmth of their mother nor with other calves. And some farms do all year calving, so they may be in these calf hutches if it's hailing or storms or even extreme heat as well. The hutches only need to be slightly longer than the calves themselves. Calves who are reared in herds or with other calves tend to be more intelligent. They are better equipped with coping with stressful situations, tend to be less fearful. They certainly do better when they're not reared in isolation. As you can see, these calves are wanting to have that direct full body contact with one another, but the confines of the pens and the hutches, of course, prevent that.
It's just so sad to see, these kind of motherless babies, and all they want is to kind of share that affection.
Calves are normally fed less and at longer intervals when in this sort of system as well than compared with naturally with their mothers. So ideally calves would feed as often as they like if they were in natural circumstances, and you can see here these calves are looking quite frustrated after their milk ration's finished. Research shows that calves that stay with their mother are actually better able to cope with stressful situations as adults as well. They tend to be less fearful and generally have that better well-being going forwards. Play behaviour in calves is widely known as a good indicator of well-being. Studies have shown that when the calves are fed less milk and also when they're kept in sort of isolated conditions, they'll actually play less. They need that to be feeling full and satisfied to actually have not only the energy to play but the will to play as well. So the calves at this animal sanctuary have a very different life. They've got space to play and to interact with one another, and they can feed as often as they like as well. Grooming behaviour is really important for young calves. So when they're housed alone like this, instead of being able to groom their peers as they would naturally, they tend to fixate on the fixtures of their pen. So you can see here that this calf is spending a long time licking the fence on the pen. Can't taste very nice, and it's just that redirected behaviour. So calves spend quite a lot of time lying down in hutches, and to a certain extent this is normal, but research actually shows that when they're in isolated situations like this, they spend far longer than they would naturally lying down like this. Perhaps because of boredom, they've not got anything to fill their time, they can't interact with their peers, so it's understandable you see more of them lying down. So by law, calves have to be moved from these isolated hutches into group housing by the age of 8 weeks old. But unfortunately, research shows that when they've been kept in these isolated hutches, the calves are less able to cope with that transition. They actually find it more stressful. They don't have those coping skills and they don't know how to socially interact with their peers. And so as a result, their well-being suffers. So they start to again, feel stress, low mood, all these sorts of things start to come into play as they're just not able to cope with this new experience. Cows are emotional, complex, intelligent and sociable beings with markedly different personalities. Research shows us that keeping calves in these small hutches with little room to move and few opportunities to interact with one another can have long-lasting and permanent effects on their well-being. Cows have evolved to live on pasture, to graze and interact with others in the herd.
It's never been easier to buy vegan products from shops, from restaurants and cafes. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So please help us to create a world free of animal suffering. Order your free vegan pack today.